The moment a man realizes no one is coming to save him. There is a moment every man reaches, the most never admitted happened. It doesn't arrive loudly. There is no dramatic collapse. No one announces it. It comes quietly, often late at night, when the world has finally stopped demanding performance. It comes when effort no longer guarantees respect, when sacrifice no longer produces security, when loyalty is no longer returned with loyalty. At first, he mistakes the feeling for exhaustion. He tells himself he just needs rest, a break, more discipline, more patience. That's what he was taught. If something isn't working, try harder. If you feel invisible, become more useful. If you feel empty, be grateful you have anything at all. So he keeps going. He wakes early, he works late, he gives more than he takes. He absorbs disappointment silently, because that's what men do. Strength is endurance. Love is provision. Worth is productivity. At least that's what he believed. But slowly, something changes. He notices that the harder he tries, the less he is valued. The more dependable he becomes, the more disposable he feels. The more he gives, the more is expected, without gratitude, without loyalty, without hesitation. And one night, something inside him goes still. Not angry, not sad, still. It's the moment he realizes that no one is coming. No one is coming to rescue him from responsibility. No one is coming to reward his patience. No one is coming to notice his quiet suffering and say, "You've done enough." That moment is not despair. It is clarity. He sees the pattern clearly for the first time. He was taught to believe that if he followed the rules, life would unfold logically. That if he worked hard, stayed kind, stayed loyal, stayed silent, stability would arrive. But the rules changed without warning. The promises were revised without consent, and he was never informed. He realizes that much of what he did was not chosen freely. It was inherited, an unspoken contract signed before he was old enough to read it. Provide, protect, endure, expect little. And in return, acceptance, belonging, purpose. But acceptance is conditional now. Belonging is temporary. Purpose is outsourced to productivity. The system doesn't collapse him all at once. It drains him slowly, through expectation without appreciation, through responsibility without authority, through accountability without protection. He starts noticing how easily he can be replaced, at work, in relationships, in society. He notices how quickly empathy disappears when he struggles, how support turns into silence the moment he stops performing. He notices how his pain is framed as weakness, inconvenience, or entitlement. So he learns not to speak. But silence has weight, and eventually the weight becomes unbearable. That is when the realization lands fully. No one is coming. Not the government, not society, not love, not loyalty, not fairness. No one is coming to restore balance. And strangely, that realization does not break him. It frees him. Because when a man understands that rescue is a myth, he stops waiting. He stops begging life to make sense. He stops negotiating his dignity for approval. He stops confusing endurance with virtue. He stops living as if the world owes him meaning. Instead, something older awakens, a quieter instinct, self-sovereignty. He begins to understand that strength was never about being needed. It was about being self-contained. That love was never meant to be purchased through sacrifice. That loyalty without boundaries becomes self-erasure. That purpose cannot be assigned. It must be claimed. He withdraws, not in bitterness, but in awareness. He becomes selective with his energy, intentional with his time, careful with his trust. He no longer explains himself to systems that profit from his confusion. He builds quietly, not for validation, not for revenge, not to be seen, but to be free. He reclaims his body from exhaustion, his mind from noise, his attention from manipulation. He stops asking, "Is this enough?" and starts asking, "Is this aligned?" The world notices, but too late, because men who no longer wait to be saved are dangerous to systems built on dependency. They cannot be shamed easily. They cannot be rushed. They cannot be guilted into compliance. They don't argue loudly. They don't announce rebellion. They simply opt out of illusions. They stop confusing busyness with meaning. They stop chasing approval disguised as love. They stop accepting imbalance as normal. And from the outside, it looks like withdrawal. But inside, it is construction, a new internal order, where dignity is non-negotiable, where peace matters more than praise, where solitude is not loneliness, but sanctuary. This is the moment a man stops living reactively. He stops trying to prove he deserves space. He takes it. He stops trying to earn rest. He claims it. He stops waiting for someone to arrive and say, "You matter." He decides it himself. And that decision changes everything. Because a man who understands that no one is coming does not collapse. He stands. Not loudly, not dramatically.